in India, at least what I have seen, that majority of the growth teams are performance marketing teams, and they have 2 to 3 retention marketing folks who will do your automation journeys, push notifications, emails, and everything. Still, product-led growth is a different team that sits under product management. Still, gamification referrals are not under a central growth team, but under a product-led product team. It's a very new concept. But can you just tell me one best case that you have seen your client, which has the ideal growth team, and how does the team look like? How does the reporting structure look like? I'm primarily looking to figure out the organizational structure, who reports to whom, and what is the ideal thing that you have seen someone doing that.
So I think there's a danger in looking for the ideal growth team concept, in that I don't think there's an ideal growth team setup. I think there's an ideal growth team set up for your business. Specifically,
okay.
And to be honest with you, like, the best example I can give you is with one of my clients where we tried to force a growth team concept, and it didn't work.
Okay.
And I think, it was a good learning.
Can you just talk more about that? Like, why it didn't work? Let's just tell me the whole story about that. Like, why were you trying to put a growth team, one, and why didn't it work out?
So the founders of the company that I was working with at the time were very excited about the concept of growth and the applying a test learn mechanism to accelerating their trajectory, which is great. I think the first thing is you need buy-in from executive leadership that, hey, this is the right approach. And super excited about the concepts of high tempo testing, which I think is a great thing, but I think there's a balance between high tempo testing and high value testing. And also the company very focused on building a strong culture that was very collaborative and brought a lot of people into the fold. So I think the primary mistake that we made at the outset was, and again, when I work with companies, I don't try to say, this is what the growth team should look like. We try to collaboratively work together to understand, how does growth work within the organization today? What's the right approach? And I think in that particular case, the founders were they kind of wanted to jump in with both feet first, which to some degree is kind of what you need to do in growth. It's hard to do a little bit of growth. I think you have to do growth. You have to be bought in and you have to do it. But the mistake there, I think, was that we tried to roll it out in sort of one fell swoop. And they wanted to bring a lot of people from all over the organization into it. And those people, while I believe that, ideation should come from all parts of the business, I think for that particular company, and just the culture they had, some of the legacy sort of thinking they had with the business, it was really important for them to start a little bit smaller, with a little bit more focus on a small group that could actually model growth for the rest of the organization. So I think one of the things that really works well for companies, and one of the things that builds momentum, is when people see growth working in the organization and they're like, I want more of that. Can you help us? Right. So I think, really great growth team setup, if it's right for your business, is you have a small team that works in a very focused way to drive meaningful impact against one clear objective for the business. As they do that, they do a great job of evangelizing growth throughout the organization. They showcase how they're doing it, what they're doing, how a good hypothesis for an experiment drives a learning, whether you prove or disprove that hypothesis. And when you get that and you do the hard work of analyzing the experiment well, then you can actually use that to power the next cycle of the flywheel. So I think in that particular situation, what happened was they tried to jump in feet first, kind of across the organization. So we started testing too broadly across the growth engine. So we're running a test here in referral, we're running a test here in activation, and
the typical mistake that mostly happens.
Yeah, when we on the Breakout Growth podcast, we brought Sean Ellis's co-author of Hacking Growth, Morgan Brown, on a couple of months ago, and he described it really well. He said, "You want to be driving as fast as you can, but like a Formula One car, not a runaway train."
Right,
And
right.
I thought that was
That's really
a good way of captioning it, and I think that's. Yeah, and I think that's a little bit of what happened. And the good thing is, after we saw that not working, the thing about growth is you have to eat your own food, right? So it's not just about testing and optimizing for the business, it's about testing and optimizing your own process and approach, right? So as soon as we started to realize that our sort of growth team experiment wasn't really working as we had hoped, we went back, we analyzed, why is it not succeeding today? What do we have to do to reset? And we did. And I think the company is the better for it and has succeeded in growth since then. But I think sometimes, and honestly, I think part of growth is being able to get through the hard stuff. The hardest part maybe is that first step of getting the test learn process going. If you go to a lot of companies and you say to them, how many experiments are you running today? They'll tell you, well, this is sort of an experiment. And that's kind of, we kind of run, they don't have, consistency in their testing process. To go from that, which is sort of 0 to 1, which is we're running 1 good test a week or 10 good, 2 good tests a week, to get to that, from point A to point B, it really does require a lot of determination and dedication to the process and making mistakes. I co-invented the mobile app RoboKiller at Teltech, and long before RoboKiller was a glint in our eye, I started bringing this test learn approach into the organization. And I would love to tell you, hey, I was one of the early growth hackers before Sean even, came up with the term, and I help, I know what I'm doing. I can just jump in and throw it, and everything will work out beautifully. The truth is, it was tough getting it started. We had many failures, many mistakes. I wrote a whole article called "How to Ruin an Experiment," right? Which was
it's on what, LinkedIn or what?
That's on growthhackers.com. But if you just Google "How to Ruin an Experiment," you'll find it.
I remember I used to. Like back in 2019 or something, 2019 or 2020, I guess, I used to every day open growthhackers.com and I used to see, what are the experiments people are running? What are the insights people are doing? And now I just stopped. I don't know why I stopped, but I've just stopped.
Yeah, it was good to see it because, it's neat to see how people are thinking about experiments and how people are really, trying to get how they're trying to build better hypotheses, which I think is the root of, that's the foundation of good experiments, is